Okay. Good morning. Good morning. Please find your seats and prepare for this morning's service. For those of you here in the sanctuary, please be advised the service is being streamed on YouTube. To those of you watching the streamed service, we're glad to have you watching. We would, of course, rather you be here, but it doesn't seem like that's about to happen, and it seems even less likely that that's about to happen. Let me remind you that we have a pre- and post-service Zoom event, which also runs the YouTube stream of the service. Please make sure you read the announcements in your printed order of service. Also, and especially, be sure to read the weekly events that are emailed to you each Thursday, as well as the unigram and the website. I urge you to keep our website, yours, open as a tab on your internet browser so you can keep up with what's happening. Please practice social distancing and mask wearing per board-approved guidelines. Please do not take chances. We do not want to lose you or your loved ones. This is a time of sort of great uncertainty about exactly what's happening. Things seem to be going in the wrong direction. It's hard to get definitive advice because there probably is no definitive advice. Get vaccinated. Let us center ourselves for today's service and remember to silence all electronic devices as we listen to the prelude.
This morning's musical prelude is the Winter Solstice chant by Philip Palmer. Children of the earth, we have come to sing to each other, sister to brother, songs of our Mother Earth. Children of the earth, autumn soon will breathe her last breath, and quick will her death bear witness to winter's birth. Children of the earth, can you feel the air getting cold as darkness takes hold and sleep covers Mother Earth? Children of the earth, we have come to sit in the darkness, breathe in the silence, think of our Mother Earth.
Thank you, Anna. Please stand and join me in the congregational covenant as found in your order of service. Love is the doctrine of this congregation. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve others in community. Thus do we covenant with one another. Please be seated. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Columbia. My name is Jessica Cross, and I am your service leader this morning. Our minister is the Reverend Stephen Robinson. We are very fortunate that he is with us today. On days when he is not in the pulpit, we present a variety of qualified and interesting speakers from this congregation or from guests from the wider community. Unitarian Universalism is a diverse and non-creedal religion. We are a covenantal religion, which means that we don't have to believe the same in order to treat each other with respect, equity, compassion, and dignity. Our community is based on deeds, not creeds. As Unitarian Universalists, we side with love, embracing all people, regardless of age, color, race, socioeconomic status, physical disability, or religious background. We are a welcoming congregation. That's an official designation, which means that we embrace LGBTQ individuals. We encourage everyone to wear name tags so that we may know each other better. Board members wear green name tags, and they always welcome your comments, questions, and especially your suggestions. Would the members of our Board of Trustees please stand now so that you may be recognized? Thank you. At this time, we would like to recognize any guests or visitors who are with us today. If you are willing and able, please rise and share with us your name and where you are from. Or if you have guests with you, please feel free to introduce them. Stephen will take the microphone around. Please wait for the microphone because we would all like to hear you. Anybody? Going once. Twice. When we are further along in the recovery from the various COVIDs, we will take time to greet each other. And I will tell you that you are all welcome to stay and continue your conversations and enjoy refreshments in the social hall, but I cannot tell you that now. We ask that everybody move out of the building after the service. You know, today's weather really isn't conducive to hanging around and chatting. We ask you to do these things, but you, of course, do what you want. We're Unitarians, right? You know, herding cats, right? That's how it goes. We are delighted and honored to have as our chalice lighter today, Anna Hamilton, who has done so much as music director to make our services not only enjoyable, but deeply meaningful. Thank you.
Thank you. I am pleased to light the chalice today. I've been here as your UUCC music director now for over 4 years. And I'll share with you that I started making music in churches of all different denominations when I was 12 years old as a pianist and as an organist. And I found Unitarian Universalism, quite honestly, while walking down the street in my small hometown, past a building that was a repurposed museum. And I read the signs in the door for the small Unitarian Universalist congregation in my hometown. And the next Sunday, I walked in and have always been grateful that something so special exists in this world that we can all be part of. I'm thankful to be here and to be part of the UUCC in such a wonderful community. We are so blessed to have so many talented musicians that give so freely and creatively of themselves, and it's a joy to work with them. And I also love all the people that I work with here, and working with Stephen, who is an extremely heart-touching and special minister. In addition to loving music here at the UUCC, I'm also a piano teacher, and I work in my own piano studio here in Columbia, and also for many years as an instructor of piano at USC in Columbia and in Aiken. Beyond music, I love walking labyrinths and the strange journeys I find myself on when I seek them out in the world. I love being in the outdoors, meditation, and knitting. One final thing that I want to share with you before I light this candle. I'm halfway through the Music Leadership Certification Program through the UUA. It's a 3-year program. And I have learned and been inspired more than I ever imagined being part of this program. So lighting this chalice today is especially meaningful to me as I think of this rich and powerful history and community of Unitarian Universalism.
Thank you, Anna, and thank you, Jessica, for getting our service started. Our opening words this morning come from the poet Wendell Berry, and it is an invitation, an appropriate invitation for winter solstice to go into the dark. Hear his words. To go into the dark with a light is to know the light. To know the dark, go dark. Go without sight, and find that the dark too blooms and sings, and is traveled by dark feet and dark wings.
Thanks, Dave. This song is actually almost a world premiere. We actually premiered it last night at the Sing. So this is brand new. And I must acknowledge also that it was inspired by one of Reverend Stephen's recent sermons. I used to like to walk at night, no special place to be, just quiet rambles through quiet streets with nothing much to see. Disquiet pulse beneath my skin, and a quivering in my bones. No answers why, as I strode the night, I didn't just stay home. The world has always been broken, whether illness, oh my goodness, let me start that chorus again. The world has always been broken, whether illness or error or sin. The world has always been broken, and the light always shining in. I looked and turned it down. Just another cruel story told in another charming town. A story written
illness or error or sin. The world has always been broken, and the light always shining in. The world has always been broken, with that harsh compulsion to win. The world has always been broken, and the light always shining in. And the light always shining in.
Thank you, Kevin and Karen. Beautiful. This time we move to a part of our service where we light candles for those joys and those concerns that we are bringing into this place to share together in community, to hold each other, to be able to have a place to process and be known what you're experiencing in your life. So there are always 7 candles out in the foyer. If you would like to pick one up as you come in and come up briefly, share the candle that you are sharing today for the service, and light it and place it here. The first candle that I'm going to light today is actually for John Logue and his family. And John had a death in his family. It was very unexpected. And so we are holding them in our thoughts, and today are sending good energy their way. I believe that John is traveling to San Antonio, Texas for a memorial service. I invite you to come at this time with candles that you would like to share.
Well, as you know from last week, Kevin and I are co-chairs of the Social Action Committee, and I am lighting a candle of correction. Everything I said about guests at your table and families helping families was accurate until I spoke about the gift cards, the family gift cards. And I don't know, my tongue got away from my thoughts. But we actually got $400 in donations. So each family got a $200 gift certificate to Walmart to buy whatever else they needed to finish up their Christmas. So I still think we did a wonderful job. And we appreciate every one of you for all your efforts in making it happen.
And in honor of Mark, we want to fully acknowledge the importance of decimal places.
My name is Jenny Verne, and we're, again, I probably said this a week or two ago, but we recently moved into a senior living facility called Merrill Gardens. It's in the Bull Street district, and we've been in a month or so, and we just couldn't be happier. It's a wonderful place. We've met a lot of wonderful people, and it's probably one of the best places we've settled in a long, long time. And so I'm just very grateful and thankful for that. Thank you.
My name's Susan Robinson, and I've been a a member here a long time, but some of the newer people don't know me because 4 years ago when I retired, I responded to my son's urgent appeal, come and live with us in Portland, Oregon, where you grew up anyway, and your sister lives, and so on. So I've been there. But I wanted to say this is a candle of joy because it's so nice to be back. I belong to a big Unitarian church there, a wonderful church. Those of you who are longtime Unitarians know the name Bill Sinkford. And Bill is our senior pastor out of, it's a huge 1,000-member congregation. There are also about 5 other groups meeting that are smaller, and probably the most comparable to this congregation would be one in Oregon City. If my family and the children didn't already go to First Unitarian Church, I might go to that one because it's just more a smaller community. You have to belong to smaller groups to belong, to know anyone in that congregation. But they've only just started meeting, and so I haven't actually been to services. I went once when I visited my sister in Corvallis. I went to an outdoor service this summer, and that was lovely. But our congregation in Portland has only just allowed 200 people a week. So you apply each week to go to their 700-member, seated sanctuary and attend that way. But I have really appreciated, the one thing about the pandemic that's good is that I've been able to join you here. You haven't known it, but I've been watching every week. And it's mattered to me a lot, and the music has mattered a lot. The fact that you've carried on. And I love it, David. I told him yesterday, I love it when occasionally at the end of the service in the live stream, he actually pans the group. So I can see all of you here, who's here. And then if you don't go to the Zoom, I still have a feeling for you. So I'm glad to be home. I grew up in Portland, and I never kind of realized how out of it they are in terms of the East Coast, Eastern time, and the Washington activities. And I miss being in the state capital, Oregon and Salem. I didn't, even though I grew up there, I left there after college, so I don't know that state the way I do South Carolina. So I feel very at home being back. Happy holidays to everybody.
Good morning. I'm Bud Ashley. I'm standing in today for Bruce to light a candle once again for him and Nick. He called me this morning and they had something happen that he couldn't make it here today. So, and personally, I want to say I love you, Nick, and I'm rooting for you, and we're waiting to hear that word, remission.
Good morning. I'm Lee Mingy, and I don't have a candle, but let's call this the second part of a candle that was lit by Stephen for me concerning my dear friend Audrey Pendergast, who had a stroke, was comatose when the candle was lit here. She has since died. This is a big blow to Julian and me. We were very, very close. Our New Year's have been spent together for many, many years. So this affects our holiday plans as well as the rest of our lives. So this is a candle of deep sorrow.
Good morning. I'm Tom Clements, and I don't often come up here, but I did come in my 10 years of membership. I did come about a month or so ago, and you may remember I mentioned a friend of mine who had been hit by a vehicle and killed, and I don't want to make this theme repetitive, but another friend has been hit by a vehicle and smashed to the ground and died the next day. She was hit on Thanksgiving Day on the way to the family gathering, and some of you may recall the Hipwazi store that was on Hard Street. It was the owner's sister, Laura, was the one who was hit. And to relay that tragedy, but there's a thin cloud of happiness of some sort out of it. I was in a local supermarket last week, and I'll go ahead and name it Trader Joe's. And the clerk asked me how I was doing, and I said, not so good, because two of my friends had just died in tragic accidents. And I didn't know what she was doing, but she called over on a woman who was working, and they brought me a bouquet of flowers. And I had just seen my friend, and I knew she wasn't home, but she leaves the back door open. So I took it to her house right here on Blossom and left her the flowers, which she appreciated. So I light this candle in the memory of Laura, who was killed then on Thanksgiving Day, but more for the kindness shown by strangers, which we can all do more of in this time that some people try to sow chaos and hate amongst us. We can sow kindness by our acts towards others and even to strangers. So thank you.
Hi, I'm Chuck Ashley. Christmas is not a happy season for everybody. Not every year. In fact, for some people, it's never a happy season at all. And while you're busy hanging up your ornaments and your decorations and you're shopping and you're baking and you're wrapping and you're making your traveling plans and all, other people are considering suicide and wondering how they're gonna stand to get through one more day. It seems like Christmas starts earlier and earlier every year. The stores start playing Christmas music in September, it seems, and it just goes on and on and on, and you listen to it and you listen to it, and someone's always shouting Merry Christmas to you everywhere you go, and it's just not like that for everybody. So we need to remember. And Nick, Bruce, I love you both.
Thank you all for your willingness to share, your courage to be vulnerable. And of course, in this season of solstice, we are holding so much as we prepare for that, and so much on top of what's normal in a year. At this time of year can be very painful and emotional reminders of those who are not with us or those who are struggling, but also on the heels of almost 2 years of pandemic, we are feeling that pain as well. So we light one final candle today for the joys, the concerns that are not shared out loud in this place. I invite you to take just a few breaths in silence and remember all that you've heard and felt, and hold these folks who were sharing close in our hearts. Thank you. This time we prepare for sharing our abundance and an opportunity for us to welcome Elizabeth Dudick back to share a little bit about Family Shelter, which is under the umbrella of Homeless No More. And so, Elizabeth, we welcome you back to share.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me. Homeless No More is the only organization in the Midlands that serves the entire family, which includes fathers and boys over the age of 12. By no means is that all we have, but that is one of the main core principles of Homeless No More that we've had for decades, is that keeping families together is the best way to solve family homelessness. Family Shelter, which is what y'all are so wonderful to, is our first step in our program, which is true emergency shelter for people facing homelessness. Families come to us and are in our Family Shelter program who have been maybe living in their cars. We often call them the hidden homeless, because typically when you think homeless, you don't think family. A lot of people think homeless individual, but families are what we call the hidden homeless in our community. They are typically bundled up in a motel, they're with friends, they're in their cars, they're in various places, so they're not who you typically see. Last year, we served 434 families. Sorry, I said last year, in 2021. I feel like this has been one long pandemic. But in 2021, we have served 434 families across all of our programs. We are still continuing to serve families. One thing that I really love about the Unitarian Church is that you're inclusive and respectful of everyone and their beliefs and their opinions. And we try to do that at Family Shelter and through all of our programs at Homeless No More. One really concrete way we do that this time of year is, instead of adopting families, what we do is we have a holiday shop, and we collect items, and various individuals will give items, or people will give money and we'll put it towards the holiday shop. And our families are able to come through and they are able to pick out what they would like to give their children for Christmas. And then we cover all the children's toys up, and then our children get to come through and go to the adult side. It's typically a few days later, because we try to, clear the children's toys out. But that enables families to be able to decide, who do they want to say this is from? Is it from Santa? Is it from some nice people? Is it from their parent? They get to decide, which really empowers them to have that choice, which is something that we work very, very, very hard to do, is empowering our families to not re-enter homelessness and to make good decisions for themselves. And 94% of the families that we serve do not enter homelessness again, which we are very proud of. So thank you so much for all of your support and all that y'all do for us every single year. If you have any questions, please just let me know, and you can always find me on the website and shoot me an email. Thank you so much.
And thank you for being here with us, and more importantly, continuing to do the good work, and we are very proud to be a partner in that good work in this city. This time I invite our ushers to come forth and receive our morning offering.
Our offertory music is the first movement of Beethoven's Moonlight Sonata, Opus 27, number 2.
receive our offering today, a symbol of our commitment to our good work. And thank you, Anna. Absolutely beautiful. From Beethoven to Karen and Kevin sharing original song for the second time, right? Second debut. The drum beginning our service together. Thank you so much for the music. It's really what solstice is all about. Coming together in that sense of reflection and quiet and quieting the words for just a few moments. And then, of course, you have to preach a sermon, so you have to add words to the wordless experience and totally mess up the mood set by Anna and Beethoven. But nevertheless, that's kind of become my gift these days, is messing up the mood. So we can definitely lean into that. Winter solstice is Tuesday on December 21st, at least for the northern hemisphere of the earth. It is the darkest day of the year. Darkness overwhelms the light, so thus the shortest daylight experience in the year. Celebrated in so many different ways, dating all the way back to Stonehenge, which is over 5,000 years old. This monument is especially important on the solstice in the summer, where the light hides behind the heel stone of Stonehenge. And then, of course, on winter solstice, when the sun dips to its lowest point in the sky, it makes this beautiful sunset on the monument of Stonehenge. And the sunset is set between what would have been the uprights of that tallest section of stones, consisting of two vertical stones capped by the horizontal stone. Other places in the world celebrated in a similar fashion. In the American Southwest, Native people have a long-standing tradition focused on the return of the sun with a sunrise dance celebrated by the Zuni people. Days of fasting, staring at the stars. It's a great ritual that involves just staring at the stars, right? It's a good reminder for us of what we need to do. A Pequon, who is also called the sun priest, has carefully observed the sunrise and the sunset, preparing for this event. And then once the Pequon announces that this day is the solstice, not looking at a calendar, but observing the sun, then the dancers come out and prepare for the dance of the birth of the sun. Hopi people of northern Arizona reenact the movement of the sun across the sky with a pause, which is a neat part of the festival, a pause that says, will the sun come back? Maybe, maybe not. And that pause is meant to raise the anxiety and the hope that the sun will return to full strength and bless the land. England does at least a metaphorical burning of the clocks during this time of year. Lanterns shaped like clocks are burned in a peaceful protest against the darkness. In China, the solstice is commemorated with a harvest festival, and in Japan, bonfires are lit on the side of Mount Fuji to welcome back the light. There's a tomb in Ireland where at the exact moment of solstice on December 21st, which I believe is 10:59 a.m. this year, the sun hits the opening of the tomb and lights that passageway for 20 minutes. And so it is a cherished prize to be in that tomb. That's kind of a weird thing to say. Cherished prize to be in the tomb for that 20 minutes. And actually, lottery tickets are sold in Ireland, and two lucky people are win the lottery and are invited to come and sit in that sun of solstice sun for 20 minutes. I thought this would be a good place to pause, because we're always thinking about things that we need to do at the UUCC, and I'm sure there is a place, Bill, that we could find a crack in the building where at solstice the sun hits a certain part of the RE wing back there maybe, and we can sell lottery tickets. It can be a huge fundraiser for us here for two folks to go and sit in our section of the solstice sun. So just think about that if you're on the publicity committee or one of the other committees. The social action committee needs another fundraiser. Just know that that's a possibility. Bill can make that happen. And if there's not a crack there, we can create one. All across the continent of Africa, there are harvest festivals like the Zulu festival, where the community gathers at the palace and the monarch eats the meal of the first fruits of the harvest, because the belief is as the monarch goes, so goes the strength of the community. So the monarch is given the first fruits of the harvest to strengthen and, of course, prepare for the year ahead. Norse traditions, a Yule log is burned, a large log that is meant to burn for an extremely long time is brought into the house or brought onto somewhere in the experience of whoever's burning the log. And so, of course, it's one of those things that have carried over into this holiday tradition in the U.S. We often talk about the Yule log burning, and maybe we don't even know what that represents, as the Yule log is talked about in many songs. Most of traditions and cultures around the world, in some form or fashion, believe that this is the time of the rebirth of the sun or the sun god across cultures. And so many times through mythology and understanding of cultures, the sun god experiences rebirth, which of course is why Christians connected the birth of Jesus to this time of year, so that could be lined up with other festivals of sun god and rebirth of the sun god across cultures. What's underlying in all of that celebration of the harvest, preparing for the year ahead, celebration of light, burning of clocks, buying a lottery ticket to sit in the special 20 minutes of sunlight in Ireland or the UUCC, as we will experience next year. What's underlying all of that energy around rebirth and hope is the fear that the darkness is going to take over somehow. And maybe we don't really carry around that fear in ourselves with so much electricity that lights parts of our lives that are meant to be dark, times of our day that are meant to be dark. So to connect to the historical anxiety around solstice, you really have to go outside and get away from everything in our modern world that lights our world. And I invite us to do that, to go outside, to experience the darkness, and to sit in darkness long enough for darkness to sink in and experience it. If you're not able to do that and center yourselves on your own, Anna is available to bring the drum and to chant to help you center into that space. That could be another lottery ticket fundraiser there. I'm full of ideas today, and it's not even our pledge kickoff yet. The finance committee's making notes back there. But the experience of sitting, especially during solstice, to sit at the dark before sunrise, to let the darkness sink in, to feel it, to connect to it, to let that feeling of emptiness or whatever it is, to let the eyes adjust to the darkness, and then experience the sunrise. And if we do that, we will know something of what in history has driven the beauty of this holiday, of this time of year, this festival. If you experience the sun and you allow yourself to be vulnerable in the darkness, you realize your dependence on the sun at sunrise and how vital it is to so much a part of our world. But you have to let the fear of the darkness come in. St. John of the Cross, a few hundred years ago, wrote a beautiful poem called The Dark Night of the Soul and coined the phrase. For him, it was the feeling of being disconnected, not only disconnected from other people, while he was in prison, but also disconnected and forgotten for him by God. He wrote it at a time that in his life that deep depression, sadness, isolation kicked in, disconnection from his sense of purpose and his sense of meaning. And in doing so, ever since the poem has been written, has given us a framework for us to talk about what that's like in our lives when we have those moments that are unavoidable. Everyone is susceptible to times in our lives that we would call the dark nights of the soul. Whatever they may be, whether external factors cause them or internal factors cause them, times and seasons of life, we are all susceptible at several times in our life, and especially over these past 2 years when we know what isolation feels like, even more so, to let that isolation and loneliness set in and disconnect ourselves from our sense of purpose, our meaning, our greater purpose, whatever that might be. Many of those folks who are affected by that somehow figure out how to put on a happy face and survive through everyday life. Mother Teresa is a good example of that. Only after death and reading her journals and getting conversations from her spiritual director do we know that this woman who poured so much into the lives of so many people, blessing and caring for orphans and caring for the sick. And folks would testify, after I spent time with Mother Teresa, I was overwhelmed with joy because she was so joyful. Only in death do we know the torment personally that she experienced in her individual life, recording feelings of isolation, loneliness, not even knowing if God was pleased with what she was doing with her life, and admitting that from the first time she heard the voice of God, that she hasn't heard it again. She's felt so disconnected and alone. We are all susceptible to that, and our culture teaches us to put a happy face on that, which creates even more isolation. But here at the UUCC, we know that the darkness is not a game that we have to somehow avoid. It is a crucial part of life. It is a balance to the rhythm of light. It is something that we all experience, and we make a commitment to each other that no one should experience that alone. Loneliness doesn't have to mean alone. Isolation doesn't necessarily mean disconnection. And the solstice is a chance when those times of darkness come, and they will, to learn from that experience. Solstice is a thing that happens in nature and the web of existence around us. And so it's really a time to look to that web of existence to teach us how to deal with the darkness and the dark nights of the soul when they come. I really believe that looking at the web of existence and nature around us, we learn 3 crucial things about solstice. As a matter of fact, we're going to have a Christmas Eve service on Zoom on Christmas Eve at 4 o'clock, and we're going to focus on these 3 themes. The 3 themes being rest for those in our plant life, especially around us, trees and all things that grow. This is an essential time of rest. The cold that creates all those leaves that, we rake to the curb and rake again to the curb the next week, and then rake again, or whatever it is you do with your leaves. All those are the symbols of the trees saying, you know what, winter's coming, it's time to take a break from growing leaves. I need a break. And so the trees know to take a break and rest. And all of that time of bringing in nutrients and energy and absorbing all that they need into their core is essential to the spring when new life comes. So learning in the darkness to take some time of rest. It may be that when the dark nights of the souls come for us in our lives, it is a signal that we are overstressed, that we are overworked, that we need a moment of rest. Not just rest, but rest, where we actually allow ourselves to be quiet and still and recharged. I think the web of existence also teaches us about our resilience during solstice. Even though we get anxious about darkness and the dark nights that come, even though we get anxious about cold, and it's hard for me to say we're anxious about cold when it was 80 degrees here yesterday. It just feels so awkward to talk about a winter solstice sermon when we're all wearing shorts. And thankfully the rain is setting the tone a little bit today for us. But when we get anxious about those things on December 21st.
Our closing music is Dark of Winter by Shelley Jackson Denham. Dark of winter, soft and still, your quiet calm surrounds me. Let my thoughts go where they will, ease my mind profoundly, and then my soul will sing a song, a blessed song of love eternal. Gentle darkness, soft and still, bring your quiet to me. Darkness, soothe my weary eyes, that I may see more clearly. When my heart with sorrow cries, comfort and caress me, and then my soul may hear a voice, a still small voice of love eternal. Darkness, when my fears arise, let your peace flow through me.
For our closing words and preparing to extinguish our chalice. As we extinguish the chalice today, we acknowledge that this flame is an offspring of its great ancestor, the sun. So may this flame guide us into the darkness of solstice, the dark nights of the soul, and remind us of our strength and our hope for transformation. We are the UUCC.
May the blessings of truth be upon us.
May the power of love direct us,
This concludes our service. We invite you to move outside for some social time. Hopefully the weather is permitting to spend a little time out there. And especially if you're a guest with us, please give us an opportunity to say hello and get to know you and for you to get to know us. Thanks for being here today.